The Shed by Ann Butler. The rustle of leaves and the screeching magpies take me back to long ago school holidays. Jam sandwiches, the malicious lash from bramble fronds, the drone of dive-bombing bumblebees. I look for the old plastic shed. It is no more. Where it once stood is a soothing water feature which stands on a slab of granite. Close by is a seating area paved with bricks set in a regimented pattern. A set of trendy garden furniture sits on top, obscuring the bricklayer's handiwork. Wasps buzz around the neck of empty beer bottles, and a jug of something pink and frothy looking. I hear my sister's voice greeting new arrivals, but my mind stays in the past. Specifically, the memory of move-in day, the faded plastic storage shed where I got locked in during a game of hide-and-seek, and the subsequent discovery of our family's heritage. Mum and Dad had shooed us outside to explore our new playground while they were up to their armpits unpacking what seemed like dozens of removal crates. We played catch with a mouldy, muddy tennis ball. Then my big brother declared that we play hide-and-seek. We ip-dip sky-blued, and he was it. My sister and I darted off in opposite directions while he counted to 20. The shed was the obvious option for me. Not thinking once, let alone twice, about the cobwebs and the bodies of the desiccated insects that had disgusted us just minutes before. The shed was meant to be off limits to us, but tell a child where not to play and see what happens. I dodged in and battled the door closed, congratulating myself on not being too loud given how much the old door drooped on its hinges. It wedged itself closed, blocking out but a crack of daylight through a gap where a door handle hung drunkenly from a rusty screw. I stood in greyness, half smiling, breathing heavily, listening for my brother's footsteps. My breath sounds and muted birdsong were my only company for about a minute. And then I heard it. Click, click, click. My head swiveled. I was only curious at that point. I turned around and tried to see what I could see. The grey merged to black, disappearing the walls of the shed. I swear I heard a long sigh. And then again, click, click, click. I tipped my head to one side and rested my arms akimbo. Stop messing about. Instead of my brother's voice, who I was sure had seen me come into the shed and was playing a trick, a deeper, darker voice answered. Greta. Greta? My heart thudded, and I gasped. I'm Angie. Angie, you have Greta's essence. Unnerved, I backed towards the door. I leaned my slight figure against it. It didn't budge. Whirling around, I braced my knee against the hard plastic and pushed with my spindly arms. Greta? I turned to face the menace, breathing hard enough to feel dizzy. I wiped a dusty hand across my eyes and peered into the gloom, hoping to see what was calling me by my mother's name. Silence. My panic mounted. My breathing escalated, triggering a coughing fit. Again, I braced my back against the door and pushed with all my 8-year-old strength. My eyes on stalks, my eardrums hyper alert. I horse-kicked the plastic holding me prisoner. The black retreated a little. The extra sunlight revealed twin beads of light in the gloom. Beads of light that inched closer. My first scream was piercing. The next one more so. Outside, I heard running and my brother and sister calling my name. I heard scrabbling at the door and my sisters, "Hurry up, get it open," followed by, I can't. Then both siblings calling my name. "Get Mum," I cried, then realised what I was asking. "No, get Dad, get Dad." I had to protect Mum from the beads of light that had stopped at the point where black ended and grey begun. I didn't dare turn my back. Adult footsteps pounded the concrete path outside. I turned to face the door then, in time to see my dad's hand find a gap between the door and the walls of the shed. I howled in relief when he wrenched the door open and pulled me into the light and into a tight hug. I was a sobbing, dusty mess, but I was safe in my father's arms as he held me, comforted me, stroking my back and hair, kissing the top of my head. Over my head, he said something to Mum, and I pulled away from him and reached my arms out to her. Mum took over from Dad, shushing and hugging me. Then she stood me on my feet, turned to the shed, and with arms wide, said words in a language I didn't understand. Not then. A dim light just about breached the threshold before the door somehow swung inwards, all by itself. My siblings and I stood in a row, eyes and mouths wide open. I looked from the shed to my mum, to my dad, and then to my siblings whose expressions mirrored mine. "Come inside," Dad urged softly. He walked between me and my brother, holding our hands. Mum held my sisters. While we picnicked on the kitchen floor, on room temperature cola and crumbly biscuits, our parents told us about our new home, which had belonged to our granny, Mum's mum, who died the year before. She told us about the shed, that it was a gateway to other worlds. She told us why the two worlds are separate and why they must remain so. That this was a lesson learned the hard way. Both worlds' histories recorded the displacement, confusion, and wars that mixing the two worlds provoked in previous generations. She told us of the spells that helped to bind everyone in their rightful place. That sometimes these spells needed boosting, and that's where we come in. We plagued her with "but why" questions for days afterwards. Some questions remained unanswered until we all came of age and were responsible enough to join our parents as gatekeepers. That's how the voice in the shed knew Mum's name. She had stood at the gates with her own mum, so that she was known to the gatekeeper on the other side. The voice in the shed. I smile when I recall the years of lessons, the questions, and finally the encounter in the darkness when Mum believed we were ready for formal introductions. The garden looks so different now. My sister, Jane, bought the house from Mum and Dad when they moved to Cyprus. She demolished the shed in favour of a more aesthetically pleasing gateway. Today is her official housewarming to show off the revamped garden. The gateway is now hidden behind a water feature, a sure way to keep the others on their side. Why continue to tempt fate? The new guests join me in the garden. My brother and his family. I smile and hug the next generation of gatekeepers. You have just listened to The Shed. The story was written and narrated by Ann Butler. Background music and sound effects were provided by Pixabay. Do feel free to share this story, but please note, no portion of this production may be broadcast or reproduced without written permission from a member of the Book Griffin team.